Hi guys. So welcome to our another series actually for our relationship matter, where we'll be talking about the premarital and the marital relationship. I've actually decided to make it a series where I will have different episodes where I'll talk about different things that are involved in relationship, like forgiveness in relationship, forbearance, patience, how to keep your relationship private, how to also work on your relationship. No, yeah, I know many people will be like, what experience does she have? But guys, by the grace of God, I would say I've learned a lot about the relationship itself. We might not be perfect, but we work together. That's why there is a platform where you guys can send your questions and then we reply. We also get suggestions and opinions, and then we see more ideas on how to handle these things. But then let's be mindful of the kind of questions we send or the kind of answers we're expecting. So my comment section will be open to any kind of questions, guys. All right, so we'll talk about forgiveness in relationship today. So before that, I just want to recap on what I talked about the previous episode, where I talked about how we work on our relationship, being in a relationship, like, and also staying in a relationship. That's the marital relationship, staying married, being married and staying married. They are both different things. Many people are already, like, they've already experienced marriage, while many are in the marriage, they stayed married. Now, being married and staying married are two different things. It's not easy to stay married because of the lots of challenges that are going out there in marriage. You see many people, they find it easy to say divorce is an option for them, to opt out of any kind of marital relationship that they find difficult. And then you see them going into another one again, and then another story again, and they are going out again. So to avoid such kind of thing, you just need to prepare your mind. For you to have such issues in your marriage is either you've actually seen those things coming into your relationship, your premarital relationship, and you ignored them, for you to now experience them again in marriage and you choose to opt out of it with divorce as an excuse. So the thing is, we just need to be careful in making decisions. Making decisions for marriage is not something we do with hurry. It's not something you do in hurry, like, I want to marry this guy, I love him and all that. And you remember I said something about the butterflies in your tummy. Butterflies don't live long. Even if you check their lifespan on a natural basis, they don't live long. Now talk less of the butterfly in your tummy. You would feel all those sweetness and everything. You have those sweet feelings because you like the person. But then marriage is not based on feelings. You don't marry someone because you have feelings for them. You don't marry someone because you have this sweet chemistry with them. Whenever they are around, you talk and talk and talk. That's not why you marry someone. You can have those chemistries with your friends. Doesn't mean you marry your friend. Marriage now has a lot of work to do. You have to be careful on how you make your marital decisions. And I pray God guides us in making, because marriage is not um just like a decision that is only for you. It's not just a personal decision. You need to ask questions. You ask questions to be safe, to be very, very safe. And then I would also say that don't marry someone that is not accountable to anybody, someone that does not listen to anybody. For example, the man, if he's misbehaving or there's an issue in the home, you can't report him to anybody that you would listen to. Don't marry such kind of person, because you'll be on your own when such things happen, things that will cause issues, and then you can't resolve it on your own. You need a safe party, not a third party, a safe party to discuss it with, to come and talk to your husband. But then he doesn't listen to anybody. That one is very dangerous. A man that is not accountable to anybody is bad. Be careful. Lots of issues we face in marriage today, lots of issues faced in marriage today are as a result of ignorance when they are in their premarital relationship. It's as a result of those ignorance. You ignore those things. They call them red flags. When you ignore those things, you face them in the marriage itself. Yes, there is a sweet, they did a very nice ceremony, a very big ceremony, he spent money. But then you find these people still divorcing months later, years later, you see that they can't stay in marriage again. There's a reason behind it. It's not like it just happened. There's a reason behind it. All right, so now let's go back to our topic for the day, forgiveness in marriage. Now, I would say to forgiveness actually in your relationship, your premarital and your marital relationship. But mostly, I want to point it down to marriage because forgiving in premarital relationship, I would say it has a limit in which someone should offend you. You shouldn't be stupid. I would permit me to use that word stupid. You shouldn't be stupid to sit in a premarital relationship where the other party always find an excuse to offend, offending or doing other things that still needs you to forgive. You should be careful not to be that person that is always the one having to forgive the next person in a premarital relationship, because don't let the other person take you for granted. I would say it's that don't take someone for granted because they are always forgiving. Mostly in a premarital relationship, you should be careful because if you keep forgiving that thing and the person keeps doing it, it's obvious the person is not ready to change. So I would advise not to hate, but to move on because you have your life to live. You shouldn't be forgiving every time and the person continues to repeat those mistakes and waiting for your forgiveness because they see you as a very forgiving person and they keep doing that thing. You shouldn't be very stupid. I said, permit me to use that word again. You shouldn't be stupid to do that in a premarital relationship. And then for the marital relationship, you are there already. It is a two-way thing. It's either you opt out when you are in a premarital relationship or you stay there and keep forgiving in your marriage. Now in marriage mostly, like I said, forgiveness in marriage mostly, you should make it an habit because now this is two people becoming one. Forgiveness in marriage should be made an habit because you've choose to do life with this person and you've made the decision that this is the person I want to do life with. So um that act of forgiveness should be practiced in marriage. You need to forgive, you need to forbear. Forgiveness and forbearance, it should be practiced in marriage because your spouse might offend and you feel like this is the end of the road for me, but that does not work in marriage unless you are not ready to get married. I don't know if you've seen a short video I did that if you are not ready to get if you can't forgive, then don't marry. Yes, I know forgiveness is a very hard work to do. It is not easy. I'm being honest. Even in premarital relationship, you forgive. But then mostly in marital relationship, it is not easy. But you just have to forgive to keep that marriage. That is because if you watch most relationship out there, and the ones we can easily use as example are the ones that are public figures, like celebrities that are public figures that brings their marriage to the public to see the faults and everything. Most reason for such things to happen are because the other party refuse to forgive. If you find it difficult to forgive in marriage, you see yourself bringing out your marriage which is supposed to be private, you are bringing it out to the public. Let me say this, marriage is private. Marriage should be private between the both parties. Marriage is between these two persons. If there is a reason for you to speak to someone out there, it should be someone that you guys know between yourself that this person is a safe party to report some things to, and that person should earn it. That person should earn that position. It shouldn't be something they receive by force. The person should earn your trust that this thing is between us, so that if there is a reason for you to report to a person, it should be a safe party. It doesn't even have to be your parents or brothers or sisters. A safe party can be someone that has earned that trust of the couple to report such matters to. So what I'm saying today is Forgiveness in marriage should be practiced. It should be an habit. You forgive both the little ones and the big ones. That is where you say for better or for worse. Marriage is for better or for worse. Forgiveness comes through from the both ways. It should be practiced in marriage, because if you want a long marriage, a long and lasting marriage, there should be forgiveness. A marriage that you see that breaks tomorrow, just under a circumstance or something, if you go into that, because most of these things are not properly discussed. Let's permit me to use the Two-Face and Annie Idibia's marriage, for example. There is no proper explanation on why they broke up. Yet we know that there are some little discussion about Two Faces my own encounter with Annie, and then other people still saying some things about maybe Annie's character and so on. But now, between these two persons privately, there are other things they might not tell you that they've been having as challenges between themselves. And funny to say, it might even be that forgiveness or forbearing might be one of the reasons they just choose to let it go. Probably you are tired of forgiving this thing, or this person is tired of forbearing, and they just end it like that. And now, don't get me wrong, if, let's say, such kind of a thing repeats itself again in Two-Face's second marriage, it might result to the same thing. When you refuse to forgive, you see yourself moving from one marriage to the other, one marriage to the other. Now, there is something I watched, a kind of it's a movie actually, where the man and the woman, they had issues, like consequently they were having a particular issue. Now the wife was like, I can't take this anymore, I want a divorce. And the husband too was like, okay, fine, I also want a divorce. Now, what was the issue? They had their differences. They are two different human beings. They will definitely have their differences. But the fact that they were tired of forbearing each other or forgiving each other, they choose to end it. And now, in another relationship, the man has to end that one also, because he had an issue with that lady and they had their differences and he could not take it and he left the marriage. That was how he ended up with, he left three different marriages. I can't really remember the whole reason for the third one. But then he left three different marriages because of his inability to forbear or to forgive in the marriage. Now, that is a movie. But then, with all that movie script and everything, there is a truth behind it. The fact that forgiveness is lacked in the marriage, it will you find yourself leaving that marriage or even getting tired of it. And then when you can't hold it anymore, you say you want to divorce. Divorce is now the next option. So I would say that make forgiveness and forbearance a core practice in your marriage. A core practice. Learn to forgive. It's not easy. Sometimes your partner does things that are very hurtful, that you find yourself that if I forgive him, it will look as if I am so weak and this, that. You weak. That is your marriage. That is why there is a stage before marriage, which is the premarital part. When you see these signs, it's now your choice to say, I want to stay, or I'm leaving. Not in the marriage, but in the premarital relationship. You don't live like that. Marriage is not something you go in and want to go out just immediately. It doesn't work like that. Marriage is sacred, and you treat it sacred. You don't just opt in and pull out of marriage. You can do all that in relationship. That is why it is called premarital. It's an avenue where you guys are meant to understand each other and to see yourself that, fine, this is the person I want to do life with, or I think I can do life with this person. That is the premarital relationship. You can do that one. But then in the marital, you don't just go in and opt out. Let's not make divorce the first option when there is an issue in marriage. We should work on practicing forgiveness and forbearance in marriage. So see you guys on my next series, my next episode actually. On We'll be talking more about other things that are involved in marriage. So watch out for my next episode, guys. Bye.